3 rounds, 1 winner. Welcome to the Movie Battle Podcast.
And it's another week, and how are you, Edward Eamon Edwardson?
You
weren't expecting that, were you?
I was.
Yes, I was, Kent.
Yes, I was, Kent, because it's horror season and my supernatural abilities are starting to kick in. So my telekinesis allow me to read your brain and know that you were going to come out with an awkward intro.
And of course, once October ends, it'll go back to normal, and you won't be able to.
Yeah,
anyway.
just regular kinesis.
Yeah. So this week is battle of,
or I should say, telepathicness, not telekinesis. Telekinesis is moving things with your
I
brain.
haven't seen you move anything.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you have, but I haven't been around.
I moved the synapses in your brain so that it allowed me to read the thoughts. Yeah,
it's all my consent.
What a save.
Yeah. Anyway, as I was saying, it's the battle of the 80s slashers. 1980s. Well, 1980s Friday the 13th against 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street. I am really looking forward to this episode, I have to say. I mean, it is probably the two quintessential 80s slashers, even though one of them is not in the film, of course, until...
Of course, yeah.
Well, he is actually in it, but he's not.
He is in it.
Briefly.
It is interesting. It is weird that a horror franchise's villain isn't majorly in the film. The debut film. Like it's, but like if Michael Myers wasn't in Halloween or Freddy wasn't in Nightmare on Elm Street, it'd be,
or Ghostface wasn't in Scream.
Yeah, it'd be really, really odd.
No Pennywise in it. Well, that's kind of different because it's not a big. But still, it'd be like, you know, we've established the.
Yeah, no, it is unique. I mean, and it's. Oh no, I was going to spoiler for Scream, but it led to a great moment at the start of Scream. That little factoid that Jason isn't the killer in Friday the 13th. But speaking of Friday the 13th, let's get cracking with round 1, music. Friday the 13th's music was composed by Harry Manfredini.
I should also say, because I didn't mention that it was directed by Sean Cunningham.
Sean S. Cunningham,
and we'll get down straight when we get down. Yeah, so anyway, we'll stay with Friday the 13th for the moment.
Yeah, so...
yeah, I had that written. Like, I mean, that is like an iconic piece in horror.
And many weeks we've spoken about soundtracks for film and said how they were kind of functional. They did what they were supposed to do, but weren't very memorable. And it's funny because I feel that applies to this film, but... it also in no way applies to this film because, like, when you can just create a piece of music that everybody identifies straight away with a character in a franchise, then you know you're onto a winner. You know what I mean? Like, it's impossible not to commend it.
Yeah, you can't not praise that particular piece. You know, it really does work. But I think most of the rest of the soundtrack pales in comparison. You know, it's pretty substandard. There's nothing memorable about much of the rest. There is one other bit I will get to shortly, but I said the cha cha cha. I love doing that cha 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 cha. Kind of different.
I always kind of more of as a
chi
chi ha ha ha. Like, that's how I written down is CHIHHA.
But yeah, it's like some of the other music that, like, when they're getting chased, it was this kind of. Like filler, kind of, you know. It wasn't.
Well,
it wasn't bad.
Okay, well, I'll talk about the things I liked first. So what I liked was, I remember when we go all the way back to episode 1, and we're discussing the Dark Knight music.
That feels eons ago.
Yeah. Hopefully we've improved since then. But the music in the Dark Knight is and I remember Christopher Nolan discussing it, and Hans Zimmer discussing it on the documentary, in that how they wanted to create music, the Joker's in particular, his thematic music that was off kilter and kind of, creating sounds that weren't necessarily pleasant. And this this does that. Like it feels like a mashup of four different distinct pieces of music kind of squashed together. And it does create that kind of frenzy atmosphere, which, to be fair, it does evoke the frenzy, insanity of Mrs. Voorhees. Like it does do that
the
job.
nature of that, like this people just dying left, right, center.
No, but I think more in particular that, like, she obviously is insane, and this music is insane. I mean, it suits insanity because the tempo changes all over the place. Like, it's not pleasant to listen to, but then horror music often isn't pleasant to listen to, especially when you're dealing with a score. It's not supposed to make you feel relaxed or anything. But one thing I did notice very early on was just after, like, when the 1958 scene at the very start of the film, and the two camp counselors go upstairs, and then the first POV murder happens. The music after the I heard Jaws, and I heard Psycho. I don't mean the Psycho shower music. I mean Psycho's theme. I don't know if you can remember or not, but
I'm just thinking deep. I know you're
it's
not talking
that.
about
It's not that.
Yeah,
It's the main theme to Psycho. It's used throughout the film, and it's used in the opening, I believe, but it's definitely used throughout the film. If you go back after this podcast, Liam, and all those of you listening, and type in Psycho's theme. Can you hear the Jaws element?
I'll have to go back and listen again.
Yeah. Because
I didn't pick up on before I watched it.
It was really obvious to me. Like, I was like, oh my god, that is straight up Jaws. And I was like, oh my god, that's Psycho. Like, it felt like so much so that I would have, if I was.
You did the Monster Man in music format.
I was more so if I was. Who was it? Did Bernard Herrmann did Psycho, and Jaws was John Williams, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If I was either of those two people, I'd have been calling them up. I would have been calling up Harry and saying, "Hello, a second. We're going to need a credit on that theme because you're basically ripping us off."
But I mean, if you weren't making any money, we wouldn't care. But the fact that you're making a lot of money from this, yeah, we definitely saw.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the final scene when she's on the lake, there's this kind of warped. It's weird. The music is kind of like warped, but there's also kind of like a little bit of an upbeat feel to it. But there's some I don't know, warped and kind of just something strange about the music at the end. Do you know when she's kind of
in the boat?
Yeah, and then the little
I thought it was quite pleasant. I actually liked that music.
No, I did like it. I thought it worked. That's what I'm saying. But I thought it was quite like there was something kind of not right about it. But I mean that it helped enhance the scene.
It definitely did.
And then there was that kind of upbeat feel, and then bam when he leaps out. That's a terrible impression. But I haven't done one since the first episode. I don't know, how would you describe it? It's kind of like a...
Not that is how I would describe it. Yeah. It does not sound like that.
It crescendos, I guess.
It's okay, we don't have to sing the music. We've done enough with the Chi-Chis. Just everyone who's listening to this remembers that scene because it's unforgettable. You can't forget Jason jumping up.
I like that piece of music was really worked really well. I like that.
And I there was a couple of moments as well when because whenever Mrs. Voorhees, what's her first name? Is it Pamela? Was it?
Yeah, I think it's Pamela.
Yeah, I prefer Mrs. Voorhees. When she's stalking them. And there are moments where the theme is kind of a little more subtle, and the strings are kind of they're kind of hanging on one note. It's like that. They're just wavering, and it does create tension quite well.
It's like that scene where that Joker guy is kind of sees someone walking into one of the kind of
Oh, into the cabin.
Yeah, thing, and he's like, hello, and it kind of
Yeah,
plays there. That's
I think it's there. The place where I noticed the most was with what was her name? Was it Marcia? Marcia?
which girl?
Mercy. Jack's Kevin Bacon's girlfriend.
What bit are you talking about?
When she's in the bathroom.
Oh, before
she's
killed.
Yeah. When you see her kind of moving towards the showers and the camera is following her.
Didn't they have it though as well at the lake too?
Brenda, they had it at a few places.
Showing the hand and Brenda thinks she sees something.
Yes, yeah, they had it in a few places, and I thought it did work. I wouldn't call this bad in any way. I just thought there were some really unbelievably iconic moments.
I didn't say it was bad.
There's
some bits were.
It's just we've been a bit negative, probably so far.
No, but I'd say the obviously the is. I really like. Well, I did. We both really liked it.
No, I'm just laughing.
And at the end,
every time we talk about that, we have to sing it.
It's just like I guess it's a signature score. But then also I said that the final scene. I said as well that music. I really like that music as well.
Yeah, no, but so I think overall, I think it was a good score, because I think it worked quite well. It wasn't amazing, but then the iconic theme is so iconic that I think it bumped it up into
that definitely brought
score,
it up.
But will we move on to Nightmare?
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street was
directed by Wes Craven. Just getting it in there.
Oh yes, who's he by?
And then music by Bernstein, is it?
Charles Bernstein. Yeah. You want to start?
Yeah. I mean, I'll start with the opening. The opening scene, the music is just really creepy and unsettling, and then he's slowly he's building the glove, and then when he puts it on, and that kind of soaring kind of the way it comes in, and then the titles come in. I think the music really really helped to create a fantastic opening. That opening a little bit,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'll be honest, I felt that that intro scene we're talking about, leading into we see Tina in the hallway, that to me was kind of it was very similar in a way to the score of Friday the 13th. And a lot of times when I was talking earlier about how it was like a lot of different types of music layered on top of each other, in Friday the 13th they felt frantic and frenzied and kind of very I won't say unpolished, but kind of unpolished, kind of just unfinished almost, which it did work. In here, it's extremely polished and extremely finished. But it's not that it doesn't make it feel. It's like the music sounds good, but it still sounds really eerie and effective for setting up Freddy. Because there's so many different elements. Like you have the kind of heavy drum beat, then you have the shrill strings. And the piano comes in.
And there's synth in there as well.
There's synth, and that kind of nursery rhyme.
Yeah, the nursery rhyme is great, and because they use it so much, obviously you have the girl skip rope singing it, but then they also when they're often talking about it, they kind of the melody kind of kicks in,
Yeah, no, but and then you have there's kind of like a ghost like wailing, a kind of like a woman kind of almost in pain. Like I think it's kind of obscured enough where like.
Is that the same when he's walking on the alley? You kind of hear it's like a howling kind of sound.
Yeah, kind of. And then they bring in that kind of the keyboard, kind of, main piece, and it all comes together in a way that's really distinctive. I mean, it doesn't sound like anything else. Like again, it's like the Friday the 13th.
I would say it's a little underrated, actually. The Nightmare on Elm Street.
I'd agree. I mean, I don't think I really.
It's not mentioned as much as some of the others.
Hit me. I mean, I always remembered it from before. I've seen it, I don't know, maybe 3 times. But this is the first time, and obviously, you're taking notes and you're really analysing something, you kind of maybe pay more attention to it. But I realised how distinctive it is, how unique sounding it is. You'd never confuse it with any other theme or score to a different film. But just also how effective it was.
There's even a bit like where, when she's looking in the cell and she sees Freddy walking into Rod's cell. And there's this kind of it's a piano piece, but it's kind of like otherworldly, and then I was thinking like, of course it's like it's dreamlike, you know.
Yeah.
And it's something very unnerving about it, kind of just seeing him there, standing over him, walking through the cell. You know, he just kind of just, you know, he just had to open
Yeah.
it.
I'll be honest. The synth I thought was hit or miss. Like
But that wasn't synth, that was piano. That
Oh,
bit.
sorry, no. I was just sorry. I thought you were talking about synth.
No, that was piano bit. It was
Okay.
kind of it sounded kind of otherworldly and very dreamlike.
Was it which bit with the prison?
So Joe, when she's dreaming herself. And
Oh
then
yeah,
she
she
sees
goes
Rod,
to see and she sees
she sees
Freddy
Rod
standing
sleeping in
over
the bed, and
him.
then Freddy walks in.
That worked very well. But in general, in the dream sequences, is kind of when they utilized synth more so than in reality. And I like that distinction. You know, I like that.
It's more subtle when they're talking about him when they're awake.
Yeah,
or, you know, or
but
alluding to him.
there were a couple of moments with the synth that it kind of reminded me of. Remember, again, going back to early episodes, but when we did Terminator versus RoboCop, and there were a couple of moments where I thought the synth kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Like the bit when she's chasing Nancy in the boiler.
Yeah, there's a couple of synth bits that it just became a little video gamey. It just kind of edged into video game territory.
I did think though that where the synth really worked was when Tina was killed, because it was.
That's why
that was so heavy.
That's why I'm
was
saying
like,
hit or miss, because there were certain moments
yeah,
where it worked really well as well.
I thought with Nancy it didn't. That bit I thought it did kind of go out of a little bit, but I thought with Tina's death it really worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything about that scene was amazing, to be fair. And then like on top of all of that, then you bring in the children singing as well, the rhyme, which again we have to talk about in music.
Yeah.
Even though
you were talking about iconic with the piece of the.
I remember singing that as a child.
Song.
I remember singing that as a child before I'd even seen A Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, I remember being like 6 or 7 years old and singing that.
Well, like so. Just quickly, we'll say so. It's 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab a crucifix. 7, 8, gonna stay up late. 9, 10, Freddy. 9, 10, never sleep again. And of course, I remember you probably the same. I thought it was, and we say it was 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, he's gonna cut you up with sticks. 7, 8, he's at your gate. 9, 10. Freddy's there again, or something, you know.
Freddy's back again.
Yeah, but that might have been right, but it's that thing of like getting a couple of them wrong, because you hear it from different people, and then you think that's what it is when it wasn't. You know.
Yeah, I remember 5, 6 something with sticks, but for some reason in my mind, I just remember it as pickup sticks. I don't know,
like a defense mechanism. Pick up some sticks, you might help you. But I always remember that 7, 8, he's at your gate, which it was 7, 8. Gonna stay up late.
And 9, 10, Freddy's back again.
Well, that could have happened in one of the sequels. Maybe this.
I think they do say that.
They might have said it in the trailer. I think for the third one they had it just in the trailer. I think they had it, you know, or something.
But it is again, quite a great example of how iconic it is when children are singing it and they've never even seen the film.
And I mean. It makes sense. Like, I mean, you think about like, you know, Friday the 13th was massive, but like Freddy Krueger was like, you know, politicians used to mention him and mention Elm Street. Like in the 80s, he was like one of the biggest things. You know, just pure pop culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I thought I thought overall the music in Elm Street was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. It was creepy, unsettling, subtle, and then it was very intense. When it had to be.
It's pretty much exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah. And as I said, there was a few minor hiccups, but for the most part, it was really good.
Yeah, like tying it in with the dreams and everything, just little kind of nice ideas that, like they could have done it without it and it still would have worked, but it just the extra flourishes just really elevated it to the next level. But yeah, do you want to vote?
Yeah. So music, I'm gonna go with Nightmare on Elm Street.
For a second, I thought it was Friday the 13th. I don't know why, but in my head,
I mean, it was kind of. Look, listen, we've kind of given
it's
reasons
kind of
why.
obvious, really. I agree. A Nightmare on Elm Street for me as well. Friday the 13th has iconic moments, but it also has moments that are fine but not amazing. Nightmare on Elm Street overall is consistently.
That's what I'd say. It's a far more consistent soundtrack.
So we're agreed. Nightmare takes 2-0 going into round 2. Horror. So,
Well, horror and special effects, isn't it?
yeah, well,
Yeah, or kind of
we
practical
can bring that in.
Yeah, okay. It all falls under it for this, for both of them.
No one's going to turn off as like, oh my god, no one said there'd be special effects. No one said there'd be boasting.
Milhouse.
Yeah.
What were they called again?
The party posse.
Party Posse.
There has to be at least one Simpsons
Lieutenant
reference.
Smash. That's
Yes.
right. Lieutenant L.T. Smash.
That's right. There has to be at least one Simpsons reference every episode.
And it wasn't Willie as Freddy.
No, it's
Shockingly.
but it is now.
It is now, yeah.
Okay, so Friday the 13th. This is a film.
I want you to start this one, yeah.
Okay. It's like the music. It has ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
More downs.
Well, I'll just say it for
Can I
me.
start?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was
I'll
just
start.
throwing
Okay,
one thing.
yeah.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so one thing I really did like was the first person perspective from the killer
Mhm.
throughout the film.
Yeah.
That was a really great idea because, I mean, the twist of who the killer is, to be fair, is a fantastic twist. Like, nobody is going to see that coming.
Because they only like allude to her like maybe once or twice
Yeah.
before she's even seen
No,
anything,
there's
don't they?
zero chance. And of course, this is, I mean, again, it's impossible. It was impossible for us going in. Well, no, because when I went in, I thought it was going to be Jason killing them. And then it's like, whoa, what the hell? I did not expect that. I think the first time I watched it was, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so, which is surprisingly late.
Well,
maybe.
you said the last time, like, you
The
watched
first
it.
time I ever watched it.
Sorry. Okay.
So I'm saying the first time I ever watched it, going in, I was sure Jason was going to be the killer because I'd
Yeah.
seen clips of Jason killing people before or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was genuinely shocked when it wasn't Jason and it was Mrs. Voorhees. So that twist is fantastic, but it's also it's a great way to allow them to do that twist realistically because if we could see her stature.
Because even watch called remember Steve doing the yellow jacket. He's like, oh hi, what are you doing on this mess? Like he doesn't see her as why she'd be a threat to him in any way,
and
she obviously knows him.
It goes away towards explaining how a middle-aged woman could do this with the elements of surprise. There are, I think, certain areas where you definitely have to leave your brain at the door. Like, really, she's going to kill all of these athletic, well-built young men. But I mean, going in. Pretty quickly you realize it's not exactly the most realistic film you're ever going to see, but I thought that the idea of the first person perspective was excellent idea and a great way to keep it a secret of who the killer is.
And he gave the Miss Voorhees more kind of power almost. The fact that we don't
completely. I mean,
it's almost like she has a mask because we're not seeing who she is.
Yeah, it's very similar to, again, without going into spoilers, but very similar to Scream. Where the character, you don't know who it is, blah blah blah, but they're also like the character in Scream, again without spoilers. But when it's revealed, who is inside Ghostface in Scream, they have less power straight away afterwards. Yeah. Like once it's revealed who they are, their power seems to disappear, and they're now a normal person, which. Kind of annoys me sometimes. I mean, I get that
Ghostface did get flattened in this costume a few times.
That's true, but like the way he, the speed that he or she moves at, or you know what I mean, like it's he or she is quite supernatural. And I get obviously in Scream they're referencing this type of thing in films because Scream is all about referencing, but in this, it does annoy me. How weak she gets later on. It's really odd. Like she's just like a little I mean, after the third time she's knocked out by Alice, you're like, really? This woman.
Was it not Stacey or name?
Alice.
Was it Alice?
Yeah.
I had Stacey written up for me.
Stacey?
Yeah.
Is there even a Stacey in the film?
For the main girl.
That's Alice, I'm pretty sure, Liam.
Okay, maybe it is.
Well, let's find out. Okay, you keep talking while I'm googling.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to remember. Okay, but just going on the first scene, I did like when they had the shot of the full moon. I thought that was kind of cool. It set a nice kind of a tone, and then obviously when two of them go up the stairs, and then obviously it's the first time we see the POV shot, and it's slowly descending up the stairs to them. I thought that was
Alice.
nice. Oh, it's Alice. Okay, that's right. That'll go to help for when we're going forward with the characters and that.
So we're discussing the characters. It'll help to know what her name is. Go on, yeah. The moon.
Yeah, the moon. So they set a nice tone, and then when she's going up the stairs, to them, to the two camp counselors, when she kills them.
Oh yes,
we weren't doing anything.
Oh, in 58.
But just the slow kind of descent up the stairs, I thought that was kind of nice and creepy. But one of the creepiest bits for me was, when Alice is hiding in the pantry, and you hear the door open, slowly open, and you hear the kind of the footsteps getting closer and closer. That kind of stuff, to me, I find that kind of stuff really creepy. That you're hiding and you don't know what's going on the outside.
Yeah.
How close or far away they are. Something unsettling about that, and I really found that scene. That to me was one of the creepiest scenes in the whole film.
There's some subtlety to it, which this film doesn't have a lot of.
No, it doesn't have a lot, but
that is a scene where there's a bit of subtlety. Another one where they do. I want to get back to actually just before we go on to the cupboard scene in the pantry. I mean, this came out in 1980, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which came out first, this or The Shining? Because that is really similar to Jack Torrance in The Shining, smashing through the door with the sharp object.
Check the release. I mean, I don't know what month they came out.
I mean, obviously both were obviously in the can before they either came out. I'd imagine. But I was just like, I was like, oh my god! I was like, that is so similar, and I was like, it's the same year. I never actually checked to see which came out first.
There's also, and I just on a little bit more the subtle side of things, where Brenda's brushing her teeth, and you just see a hand. Where Marcy was killed, when it was kind of shower curtain things.
Yeah.
And all you see is the hand kind of gently kind of brushing the curtain back, just to kind of, you don't see the face, but you see him looking out, obviously observing Brenda to see what she's doing, and she just simple little thing, but it's just something kind of creepy about that. Just a little hand kind of tucking back the curtain, Another little subtle moment that I found kind of creepy.
I just checked here. Friday the 13th was May 9th, and Shining was May 23rd. Okay, it's only a few weeks in the difference. So
Shining copied Friday the 13th.
I seriously doubt that Stanley Kubrick saw that and goes, "I gotta change it." I know you're joking, but the fact that they're obviously both in the can way before they were released. But there was a couple of other scenes. Actually, one in particular that I thought was the scariest scene in the entire film. The most effective scene in the entire film was Brenda being called by when she hears Jason. Well, presumably Jason or Mrs.
It's a child's voice.
Yeah, but I think it was Mrs. Voorhees.
I think it was as well.
Saying Jason's line, voice. That was quite creepy, and the way she's going out, like they were building the tension quite well. In that scene, and like they built it, and then the lights on the archery scene, and then we don't see what happens. But I felt a lot of the deaths were, although again, before I go into the negatives, because I loved the reveal of Ned on the bed.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it, and then also, Kevin Bacon's character was it Jack? Yeah. When his death was fantastic because they did it so well by having the drip come down, so he sees that. He's distracted. We're distracted by the drip, and then we're looking, going, "Oh, how is he going to react to this?" And then he's dead. That's really good. Like when you distract your audience, and then you genuinely get them unawares.
And it looked fantastic. It looked great effective. I don't know how they did that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I think I know it's a slight scene, but like I'm not criticizing at all. I thought it looked really, really good.
Just before we get onto the kind of the ultra gory deaths, there was one little subtle moment I liked was before Marcy is struck with the axe, you just see the shadow of it in the background. Which again,
I agree. Yeah, I had that down as well.
Some little subtle things.
But I thought that was great. I thought it was a great scene, or it was done very well, shot very well.
Until she screams.
Tension was building, and then when it cuts to her, she's just standing there, and like they hold on her for like 2.5 seconds.
It's like it slowed down.
It just completely deflates the whole thing, and you're just like, oh.
And I kind of felt like, and don't get me wrong, the effects for the deaths looked great, but I felt like the characters were being dictated by the effects of the death. You know what I mean?
They're walking props.
Yeah, but they're set up to be there to be used for the special effects
Yeah.
of the death. Like that's what I kind of felt like. It was the special effects. The effects were dictating the characters. You know,
Completely.
the other way
I mean,
around.
like, going into
Oh,
this,
makes
or
sense,
certainly
doesn't it?
within 5 or 10 minutes of the film, you know that you're not, like, don't get attached to the characters.
Well, we'll get that. That's yeah.
Yeah, we'll go into that later.
In
But
the
yeah,
same,
but like the set pieces and drive the film, not the story or anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean,
I said like the effects looked great
mm,
of the deaths, but I just thought sometimes it was just like, okay, the next showpiece dead, the next showpiece dead, the next showpiece dead.
oh, completely.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, that's what this is.
yeah.
This
And
is in wrestling terms, it's a spot fest.
Yeah, pretty much. And I thought the final showdown with Alice and Miss Voorhees, it went on a little too long. I thought. I thought it lagged a bit.
It did. Like, there was like 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Like, because I have to say, I think the reveal of her, I think I'm kind of touching this already, but the reveal of her was done so well, and it really did remind me of Scream.
Mm-hmm.
The reveal,
Yeah.
how it was done.
Yeah. No, it was really good.
And I thought, like, it genuinely shocked me, but I thought it was also subtly done. Like, her transition, you're like, kind of along with Alice, you're like, wait, there's something off here, and then it just she starts kind of tearing off the onion layers, and you start seeing, oh my god, okay, she actually is, she's doing all of this.
And I thought what else was good was when Annie, the girl,
Yes.
who actually
Scared, yeah.
she seemed nice. I kind of liked her when she gets chased through the forest. It's interesting that when the music stops, it actually became creepier. I thought, which I thought was kind of funny. So she's being chased and there's a bit of music, and the music stops, and it's her again for another maybe 20-25 seconds, kind of looking to get away, and then obviously she's caught by Miss Voorhees, and then the slit of the throat looked amazing. It looked really good. Like, it was a really good shot.
The special effects were really good.
They were really good.
Her death, to be honest, I didn't strike me as anything too interesting.
No, I just thought it was when the music stopped, I thought it enhanced. I found it a bit more unsettling then, a little creepy, kind of like, you know, with the music on it.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going to happen now?
I'll be honest,
silence
like
kind
you,
of.
I did kind of like her. She was quite the actress playing her was very charming, and like, you kind of immediately like her. And I'm sorry that was the point. And it was quite interesting that she is, up until that point, as far as I was concerned, our protagonist. And then she's the first one to die. You're like, whoa, okay, that's interesting.
I was disappointed that she died so early in it, because I thought she's one of the more interesting characters, at least that I kind of gravitated towards. But just before we get into the rest,
more the charm of her, I'd say, more than anything.
But I thought another thing I thought was kind of interesting, I would like to see a bit more of, was, you know, the guy who was giving Annie the lift, and he's kind of talking about, you hear about the stories in the old days when the drowning of that kid and all, kind of giving a history of Camp Crystal Lake, which I was like, well, I kind of like that. They're kind of apprehensive. They're opening up that place up again, you know, and everyone's kind of, you know, bit
on the edge.
Yeah, taken aback as well that
Yeah.
they're opening that place up.
Yeah.
You know, I thought it was kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
And the bit where Alice chops Mrs. Voorhees' head off. I was just thinking, because she clenches her fist after her head is gone.
I burst out laughing at that.
But I was thinking of like quickening, you know, because you're like in Highlander.
Well, yeah,
no,
I can see that. But I'll be honest, I always thought it was like, she was born in the wrong time. She should have been a medieval executioner. Like, she would have been like, the power she got in that swing to cleanly chop her head off. Like, I doubt, you know.
Well, she used the axe, wasn't it? Or no, it was the machete, wasn't it?
The machete.
Yeah.
Like, I think the chances, I'd say, of me doing that with 5 chops would be, you know, unlikely. There's no way she's doing one clean slice through. Like, not a chance. But look, it's a bit over the top.
The final scene that was cool when he was out of the water. That was a great shot.
It was a great shot. But I didn't like the fact that it was just a dream. But actually, I'll be honest, I was kind of confused in this, because so it's her on the boat, the police and everything. It's morning, and like, morning means you're safe, you've survived everything. If the Jason comes out, like, done, great idea. And apparently, well, not apparently, what they said was they just seen Carrie, and again I don't go into spoilers, but there
Oh,
is
I know
a
that scene,
jump
yeah.
scare
Yeah, yeah,
in Carrie near the end, and they thought we gotta do that, so they added this afterwards. It wasn't originally in it, and very late on they added it afterwards.
I think it would have been better just ended on that than her
It
being
would have
pulled
been
into the
way
water.
better ending than that, but because then when they do, oh, it was only a dream or something, you're like, okay, so that was just nothing. She was afraid that was going to happen, but then it's like, did they find the body? It's like, no, we only found you in the boat. So, like, did he attack her? Like,
I mean, it makes sense that maybe she did imagine it because she was told stuff by Mrs. Warwick, and also because we know Jason comes back in sequels. How the hell would he still
but
be
I think
10 years old?
we have to ignore the sequels.
Yeah.
We can only take this film as
well,
on
then
merits.
I think she imagined it because I think it might have just been trauma of the night before, and also Mrs. Royce told her that, you know, my Jason, my son, they weren't watching.
I think that makes sense. But then, like, she goes, so that boy is still out there, and then we cut back to the lake of where he's at, and you see the ripples of the water, like suggesting that Jason is under there waiting for a sequel. So it felt to me like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They wanted to have the jump scare, which was very effective, and as you said, if they'd ended on that, it would have been an excellent ending. But then they wanted her still to survive, and then but it did happen, but she survived somehow, and he's still out there, but maybe it felt a bit of a mess, to be honest. It pushed it too far, and should have just cut it. He took her, and that was it. It would have been a great ending. So the ending annoyed me. It was just uneven. But yeah, I mean, overall for Friday, I mean, I thought
it has some great gruesome deaths. And
it has some good death kills.
There are some 2 or 3 moments that are subtly creepy as well.
Yeah, there's about 2 or 3 moments that I thought maybe I would be 2. I'll be honest, 2 kind of moments where I felt tense for the characters during them. There was the one with Brenda and with Alice at the end in the pantry, but otherwise I didn't really care too much when the characters died. But we move on to Nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think since because we just finished on talking about the ending for Friday the 13th, I think we'll start with Elm Street on the ending.
Okay.
Because I think the ending of Elm Street, that last little bit, does not. The shot of her being pulled through the door. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course I know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
How can I ever forget that?
That compared to Jason coming out like that, you know, that bit, you know, that's something that Friday the 13th definitely did better. But like story, I don't even know the story on that ending. So Wes Craven wanted it just to be, she gets in the car with her friends and they drive off. Bob Shea was like, look, I want to have the chance for a sequel here. And Wes was like, look, without his money, I wouldn't be able to make this film. It's fine, we'll compromise. So they did that. It was like one quick shot because he was like, look, Wes, we have to stop. It's like, you have one shot to do this and do it now. So it was a quick in. But there was another ending they had thought about was going to be Nancy goes into the car and then it revealed it's Freddy that's driving the car and it drives off. And then the mother just kind of waves him away and that's it. That was the third. Yeah. So there was like 3 different versions.
It should just have been to get into the car and drive away, and the Freddy stripes are on the car.
Yeah,
there's no need for anything with the mother.
Yeah,
nothing. I'll be honest. Even then, I kind of annoyed me. It felt very similar to Have Your Cake and Eat It Too. I felt like Nancy deserved to win, and to me, she doesn't. In that she's still in. I think that she's like trapped,
that she lost the ending. But look, we'll get to that in the when we get the characters, I suppose.
Well, I know, but that's part of horror, definitely as well. It kind of the ending. Well, obviously, the mother was just laughably stupid. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in a film that is good. It really irritated me.
At least that wasn't the very last shot. At least the last shot is the girls and the skip
I just
rope.
can't believe that they left it in. Like, that's astounding to me that they left that in. They saw that and going, okay, yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it's still good enough to go in. Like, really?
Well, that was like the last thing.
I know, but just like if you just don't put that in and they drive away.
Oh no, but Bob wanted that.
No, I understand, but like,
But
if
like,
you
whereas
show,
his hands were tied, there's nothing he could
okay,
do.
but
It was like,
I'm saying Bob. Why didn't Bob go? All right, look, I hold my hands up. We tried to do it with all the money. That looked terrible. Take it out.
I think because they were already losing money or something. I don't know.
No,
I
what
know
I'm
that they
saying is
were.
cut it in
Yeah.
the editing room afterwards. After
Yeah, they should
screening
have.
it,
They should have.
you
Yeah.
look at it and go, that doesn't
Yeah.
work. Take it out. That doesn't cost any money. You
Or
know
they could have even just had her screaming and then.
just there's no need for it. Like it's a bad decision, and then it's a terrible decision to do it terribly. Like it's bad to do it in the first place, and it's terrible to do it horrifically and then keep it in the movie. It's just a really bizarre decision, and it does end the movie on a sour note. And we're like, what? That's how it ends, really? Very strange.
Anyway, aside from that, there are some like memorable
There are, yes.
horror moments. in
Okay,
this.
so I mean, straight off at the very start, when he's making his glove,
yeah,
reassembling, and he's getting ready.
the slow and kind of heavy breathing you hear.
Yeah,
is
the breathing,
almost-
the sound effects, obviously the music,
Yeah.
as we discussed.
Yeah.
But then you cut to Tina like in her nightdress, running in this like corridor that's like it looks like it almost rained. There's it's soaked.
There's a school kind of corridor first.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, but like puddles of water, and then you
Yeah.
see a sheep walk out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
That's like slaughtered lamb kind of thing.
well,
really.
there's that. I didn't even think
Yeah.
of that, but you're probably right. But also like counting sheep when you're sleeping
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But to me, it was that, but also it was just like it was like a surreal moment where you realize, okay, something's askew here, because obviously, I know the title is Nightmare on Elm Street, but we don't know that she's asleep right now.
Yeah, we don't know what's going. You don't know what's going on. kind of.
Um,
But I love the bit. You know when she's high up, she just got into the boiler room and she's really high up, like on it, and then it kind of pans down and you just kind of see at the very bottom. You see his kind of shadowy figure just kind of walking. And again, it's that thing for me is that thing of distance, something in the distance that I always find really creepy, kind of.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. There's great subtlety. Like you
Mm.
hear his laughter, you hear his footsteps, you see slight snatches of movements in the corner of the screen. You see little bits of shadows just moving. It's building him up really well.
And what's great as well is like there's a bit where she's kind of running and it seems unnatural, but it's in a dream.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
wasn't
so-
sure if that was like done on purpose or not, but Nancy has a similar one as well, and I figured that must be a stylistic
Yeah.
choice.
Because it's that thing in dreams, things are different. It's not reality, so it kind of skews it, So it's like it is a thing. Joe, when you have a nightmare and you're running and you always feel like you're not able to run as fast as you can,
Yeah,
It always is kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a great choice. I think also one thing just in general with Freddy, that struck me, like, and I never really noticed it before. I never really analyzed it before, but he's like toying with them.
Oh, completely, yeah.
He's getting off on the thrill of torturing them
Yeah,
and
terrifying
terrifying
them, yeah.
them, and he's like a cat with a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a cot, but like he knows that he can kill it at any second.
Yeah,
but he's in no rush.
savoring the.
Yeah, completely. And that never really grabbed me before, but I noticed it in this, and I thought it added to the horror,
And then
knowing that like, oh, I can kill you at any second, but I'll do it when I'm good.
Yeah,
and
when
ready.
I'm good and ready. But even then as well, like when she wakes up, and her mother's like, you okay, Tina? And like, she sees there's like some dream judging from that, and you just see the slashes. And you're like, oh my god, like so that's really, because I know like I know we know the structure or the how it works, but when you're really watching it and you're kind of evaluating, you're like, geez, that is like so disturbing. Like you wake up and like what's attacked you has really attacked you. It really attacked you.
Again,
Something's-
this film, like a lot of films that we've covered in this series, suffers from the it's so famous, it's hard to go in blind syndrome. And it's hard to be surprised at what Freddy can do and be like, oh wait, so he can, if he hurts you in the dream, you're hurt in real life. Like we know that going in. Like the first time, I saw this for the first time as a child. I'm sure I was probably only about 7 or 8 years old when I saw it the first time, but or certainly bits of it. Maybe I left the room halfway through or whatever, hiding behind the couch. But so it's very hard to judge it like an audience would have judged it when it first came out. But we can only take it as it comes. But still, I still find it is very effective. Like when you wake up and you see that, And even though we're not shocked by it, because obviously we know that's the case, we know what he can do,
Mm.
it's still a great moment, and it works very well.
And it's the same thing when like Tina realizes Nancy's been dreaming about the same figure, like that. Imagine like realizing that, like you really
Yeah, and
someone
Glenn
else is
as
having
well.
the same thing, like so, like it's just
When they mentioned the red and green
Yes,
jumper, and
yeah,
Glenn
and,
looks
like,
up sharply, and
yeah,
you see that okay, he dreamed of him as well.
Mm.
So it's setting him up very well.
yeah,
And then as we discussed, the music, when the next day when they're all meeting together and the children are doing the jump rope and the singing and it just straight away you're like, okay, this is and their kind of nursery rhyme tone is suiting the discussion of the nightmare.
yeah.
Again, it's a nice visual and audible addition to the scene.
And then obviously you have the wall.
Oh,
That shot is amazing.
fantastic.
So good. And so it's like you're in bed, like you should be the safest place you can be, and it's like, no, you're not. Like you're not safe asleep. Like that's.
And you know what I mean, like I agree with you entirely, like and it looks fantastic. It is really really creepy. But one thing that struck me the most last night we watched it was when the crucifix falls down. The crucifix falls, isn't it? It does fall,
it falls, yeah.
And she picks it up and she puts it back on the wall.
Yeah, I like that.
But you see that the wall is solid.
Mm.
So
yeah, because she kind of does.
Because when they filmed that, as
yeah.
we both know from the documentary, the making of that's a sheet of lycra.
Yeah.
Like that's stretchy lycra, and they just had. Was it Robert Englund who did it?
No, I think it was one of the.
Anyway, it doesn't.
Someone
really,
on the production team.
Well, the guy who does it, he presses himself in and looks amazing.
And they said that was one of the cheapest like effects in the whole film.
But what I love though, as I was saying, like is because it's lycra, then it's not lycra, but it's in the same shot from what I can see. I didn't notice.
Yeah, you don't notice like
where it was
she
cut.
does.
So like I feel it's like a magic trick, and you're like, oh, how did we do that? See what we did there, like cause,
oh, what was that? Oh, too late.
And I really like that, just from a craftsman's perspective.
You didn't get the reference, did you?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay. Good.
I
Okay,
almost get the reference. I was in the middle of my point.
Yeah,
I wanted to make it. But I loved the fact that they changed out the walls in that shot, and I didn't notice it. I love that. I really, and obviously as well as it being really creepy, just from a special effects perspective, it's fantastic as well.
Yeah, and there's a thing I want to actually bring up as well. So do you know when he's kind of calling Tina and he throws the thing at the window and she walks out? Because I've heard people often go like, just in general, kind of say like, why would she walk out and follow the voice?
It's a dream.
But exactly, that's the thing. Well, this is the one horror film that you can justify it.
Completely.
You do such stupid things or weird decisions in dreams.
That's a silly comment to make. Well, whoever says that, it isn't really thinking about what they're saying. This film, you're exactly right. In a dream, because it's like, who has a dream where there's a bomb exploding outside, but you're sitting inside watching television in the sitting room? You go to the bomb. Like you don't dream about crazy stuff in the background while you're sitting here knitting. Like no one does that. The dream is you in the thick of the action. That's what it always is. Yeah. So
whether you want to be there or not, you somehow find yourself there.
That's a silly comment. And I thought that whispering of her name was really, really great.
And that's again him kind of toying with her.
And then you kind of that reveal of him in the silhouette.
Oh, the silhouette first, and
looks great. And then, what in the hell were they thinking with those arms out?
Yeah, I've heard it.
Laughable.
I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird.
Oh no! The first time I ever saw that, I laughed out loud, and as an adult anyway, I laughed out loud, and I didn't laugh out loud last night, but I did chuckle.
But the other shot before that, when you see his silhouette, like his shadow on the kind of the wall, just before he comes around the corner,
that's great.
And
the knives on the wall is great.
I did. Joe, when she says, because this reminded me of Jaws. Joe, she's like, "Please God," and then he says, "This is God." I thought that's one of the most creepy lines in the whole film, because do you know at the start of Jaws when she's like saying, "God, please help," when she's getting spoiler. Everyone knows the opening of Jaws. Come on. before she's devoured, she's like screaming for God to help her.
Yeah.
And like she calls out, please God, and
The shark doesn't respond, does he?
no,
I don't remember that.
What I'm saying is that like it's almost like it's a like a failed call for help or something. It's like it's a false, redundant almost kind of plea for help.
I don't know. They didn't really strike me at all, to be honest.
I did this fact that he then just like looks and it's like, this is God, like that's the response she gets. I don't know. I just found that kind of unsettling.
I'll be honest. I was probably chuckling from
Maybe
the arms. I just thought that was a ridiculous decision.
But then again, like you said about where he ties with them, he like cuts
off the
fingers.
hands. That's way better. And that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, he's a jester.
Yeah.
This guy is like an insane prankster. Like he's, if you crossed like Charles Manson with Mixie Pitlick from Superman, he's just all about, or like Loki from Thor.
And Robert Englund said in the documentary, he said that the two kind of, what he took from it was he took a little bit of so Nosferatu the Vampire with Klaus Kinski. He took a little bit of that kind of with the a little bit of the gliding walk, but then he also said he took a bit of Jimmy Cagney. Right. Kind of like kind of little swaggery, kind of like you're kind of like gesturing, kind of,
and the fedora hat.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of going along, kind of like streetwise.
Okay, I would not have guessed either of those, though, to be honest.
But no, you definitely get the gesture thing as well.
Yeah, I think more like clown, and then I think they evoke that with Nancy's dream in the school, and which starts off with that really creepy image of Tina in the body bag with the blood. Like that is really effective.
Yeah. She said like it wasn't fun being.
No, I remember watching that. But just watching it as a viewer, like that is a horrific image.
And do you know when it's dragged around the corner, you just see her hand kind of flaps to the floor. It's so simple, but it's very
disconcerting. Yeah. And then also, I love when you see her legs are kind of lifted up and being dragged, but there's nothing there dragging her, but she's still being dragged out. Again, excellent special effects. But when she's walking down and she sees Tina being dragged away, and she starts going around the corridor, you start hearing this kind of circusy synth starts coming in. And it does, and I never really thought about it before, but like he kind of is a bit of a clown. He kind of reminded me of Pennywise a bit. He preys on kids.
Yeah.
He's more powerful if they believe in him or fear him or whatever. And
but with Freddy, there's nothing you can do. If you fall asleep, then you're.
Yeah, I know, but like as we discover later at the end of the movie, spoilers, when Nancy, turns her back on him, she doesn't believe in him, he loses his power. Yeah. That was the whole point.
Yeah, but that's true. But I'm just saying like that whole idea, like you can't, certainly before she found out that you can't avoid sleep. You have to sleep. I know she tries for like 7 days, but it's that kind of thing. It's like you. And everyone in the world can relate to that, like trying to stay awake and not like you can't.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal concept.
Yeah, that, I guess possibly like, the best concept for
where you probably feel safest is in your bed. Is where you're most vulnerable, and in your sleep, where that people think something that people cherish. Like, have you ever heard anybody who complained about like sleeping? It's always you didn't get enough sleep. Now you got too much sleep.
And like
maybe narcoleptic.
Just for obviously just for maybe some of our listeners who might know that like Wes Craven like read articles. There's like 2 or 3 of them about these like young teenagers that were convinced if they went to sleep they were going to die. And there was this one particular case where this guy he like had coffee pots in his bedroom and he was staying up for a couple of days or something. But he eventually, he kind of drifted off to sleep. They were watching television. His parents took him up because they were really worried about him. Put him to bed, and they thought, "Oh, thank God, he's finally got to sleep." And then in the middle of the night, I heard him screaming. And when they got to him, he died. And that was a real thing that happened. Wes Craven.
Yeah. No, it's a phenomenal like story to read. It's one of those where you read and you're like, "Oh my God!" One, obviously that's horrific. But 2, you can totally see how it would inspire the idea in him.
Exactly. Just going back to Tina, though, her death scene, we didn't kind of finish up on that. Like that whole sequence. I mean, what I loved was you see it from her perspective where he's there in the sheets with her. And then when you see when Rod rips the sheets off from his perspective and he's just seeing her just like she's having with herself. So it's very kind of disjointed kind of perspective you're getting mixed in with everything else, and then like being dragged up it looks incredible.
It's one of the best it's one of the best pieces of special effects I've ever seen in a film.
Yeah.
It is absolutely stunning. Like, as we've mentioned a couple of times, we've watched several documentaries about the making of this film. I watched how they made it, and I still struggle to understand what I'm actually seeing in that scene. Like, and I think they said that they're the same for the actress and the actors as well, because it kept turning, and like Wes Craven keep telling her, this is up, this is down, this is up, this is down.
It's so hard for you to kind of register that, like,
because we're just obviously, it's ingrained in us to understand the ground is up, not down, and vice versa. But like again, that shot where you see Rod in the same shot as her, and he's looking up at her.
Yeah.
Like, it's just done so well, and like, because it's not a big budget movie.
No.
It's amazing to see what they did on a low budget.
Yeah.
Like, some of the most revolutionary effects I've ever seen, and it was just, I mean, and not only a special effects wonder, it's really, really, effective shot so well. Like, like you really feel for her. It's horrific to watch.
Yeah.
Really terrifying scene. I'd say probably the best scene in the film, I think.
Yeah, I think it was that whole sequence of him.
It's just like, holy God.
Builds and builds.
Like, I mean, I just wrote down Tina's death. Wow.
And then Rod's death then is tragic in a different way, because
he could have been saved.
He could have been saved, and again, for me, it's the part of that thing. It wasn't as gruesome looking as the other deaths, but he could have easily been saved. And then also the fact, for me, in some ways, the parents on many levels contribute to the deaths of their children, not just in what they did to Freddie, but like if you look at it, like they're so slow to get the key to look down on him because she's insistent, like, please just. You see in her voice, she's like, just look at him, please, just to see that he's okay.
Yeah, I'll go into the kind of
characters.
the parenting and characters a little bit more.
I just wanted to make that, and then obviously then with Glenn's death as well, the parents taking the phone off the hook.
Yeah.
And it's them contributing to his death.
Every step the parents are.
And that was another really.
Every step of the way the parents are getting in the way. But and then you go Glenn's death, another phenomenal effect, a different kind of effect, and it wasn't as impressive as Tina's. Like, when he goes into the bed, I mean, it looks really good, but it was fine. But the blood going up is fine, but the bit that I really loved was when his mother opens the door and the liquid is flowing up.
Yeah.
There's that little attention to detail that I really appreciated, and it really, again, helped me feel like I was genuinely watching what was going on the screen.
There was a deleted scene where his body comes back up.
Flops down,
and
isn't
then
it?
flops out, onto the bed. But I was wondering, like, what the hell happened to him? Because you don't ever see what's happening in the dream.
He just completely turned into liquid.
Yeah, like, it must have been like...
the fact that he's being collected in a bucket felt very dehumanizing, like in no way to respect a dead person. And I mean, obviously, practicalities, what else can you do? But that moment I felt encapsulated his death way better than any of the reactions of even Nancy. Like, I felt like she didn't really react to his death enough. Like, the weight of what had just happened to him, especially after Tina, like, I'd expect her to be more distraught.
Yeah, but at least the only thing was, I remember her thoughts was like, I don't want her to come over here seeing this. So at least she didn't have to know how he went.
Yeah, I know.
I know he died, but at least
Then it was just after that with the phone, the unplugged scene.
That was just before he died.
Again,
him tying with her.
It was done well, him tying with her, but I thought he only had powers in the dream world.
I know, and I think she must have been like dozing off herself in that moment.
Think?
Because otherwise it doesn't make sense.
It felt like it was just a lapse of continuity.
Maybe. I kind of thought that it was just that she kind of drifted off, because remember there's a bit earlier where she's kind of half asleep and she's like, Glenn, are you still looking? And he's like, yeah, so, which I thought was cool, because when you're kind of half asleep, you're like, you kind of the door, you're kind of mumbling kind of,
it was
which is realistic.
Well,
So I don't know. Again, maybe it was a lapse on their part.
Maybe, but I feel like
just tell
she
myself
was.
that.
I think she was too careful to do
Yeah.
that, to let herself. If that was the whole point of
Yeah.
it, she hasn't slept in 7 days. I doubt she'd have given in just a moment before she's supposed to go and meet Glenn.
But again, that was him kind of like toying with her and kind of
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, there's some amazing deaths in it. One that I thought didn't work as well. Well, maybe before we go there, we should probably discuss Kevin McAllister mode. Home Alone.
Someone should recut that and just have the and then he becomes Marvin Harry.
I completely forgot. Like, this is straight up Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's really similar. The hammer, the tripwire, the kind of explosives, the fire, like.
Oh my god! Though I have to say the stunt.
I think
for the fire
when that was filmed, that was the longest ever burn an actor
on shot. Because he goes up, gets knocked down, goes up again, and then falls. Like that was.
Yeah, because I think when an actor does that, or a stunt performer does that, it's kind of. I mean, obviously they have certain marks to hit, but really it's up to them. Like when they drop, the scene is over. Like that's just you, because that's the only way you can do that. And they couldn't believe what he was doing. Like, he ran upstairs, fell down, started going up again, and then he goes down. Unbelievable. And then the flaming footprints through and upstairs.
Really cool,
But I have to say, the mother's death was just really bizarre.
Yeah. Well, because she goes through the bed, didn't
he lies onto her.
When he's strangling her, I think.
Was it? I didn't even know. I just like he was just lying.
I thought he kind of strangled her.
You could be right, but it didn't seem clear to me. He's just lying on her, and then she's like kind of a skeleton, kind of not. She's kind of
she's dead
charred, and then she goes down.
Yeah, I didn't understand how she went through that, like where she went, because it evaporates, and then it's just like.
And then, maybe he's just making it look like she's gone or something, and then like the father's like, "Oh well, okay, so shall I leave you to it?" Or it's like, well, I better get out of here because the script says I have to go, so I better go and allow you to have one final conversation with Freddie. But I'll see you in a minute. I know your mother, your boyfriend, and your best friend have just died. But anyway, I'll see you for breakfast.
See you, Clinton.
Yes, but it did lead to a great moment with Freddie, when he starts morphing back up. And
that was creepy.
and then she turns her back, and only then, because they build it up with Glenn telling her about
turn your back at
the dream practices. And obviously, he didn't think of doing that, but neither did she. I like the fact that she kind of had to really struggle to kind of get to that moment, and that worked really well. And I really liked that payoff of her winning with her endeavor and strength, her strength of will. Like, it was her strength that took it away from Freddie. Like she said, I'm taking it back. Yeah, she defeated
no
him.
help.
No, absolutely no help from anybody. But then she walks out, and then she's out, and she's in the dream. Like, they have the mist and the kind of the soft lighting, the soft focus. And the girls are skipping, and Freddie's on the car, and it's just like, so what? Like, he got her? Like,
well, I think she was still dreaming or something along those lines.
I don't know. It's just irritating, because it built up so well, and then it felt stupid. The ending felt stupid to me.
Yeah, it's one of the weaker parts of the film. The ending, it's kind of, you're not sure, and like sometimes that's a good thing. I just think they could have executed it a bit better.
Yeah. But overall,
there's some like amazing horror.
There are some great moments, and I feel like I've learned to appreciate it. When I first time I've seen this film, I didn't really grab me, which might be surprising to some of our listeners, or every one of our listeners maybe. But to be honest, there was a certain point where I would say I didn't like this film. I've definitely come around on it. I think it is a very good horror film. I don't think like it's one of the greatest horror films ever made. Definitely not. But I think it is a really good horror film. I think there's some parts of it are excellent, and some parts less so. I'll probably get to that a little bit maybe in characters. But the music is excellent, and like the direction is excellent. Special effects are phenomenal, and there's some genuinely creepy scenes in it. But yeah, I'm ready to vote. You ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's probably clear, but yeah, it's Nightmare on Elm Street for me, definitely. It's not even close.
Yeah, same. No contest at all. Nightmare on Elm Street is like it's one of the most comprehensive victories I think any round has done. No,
So far, yeah. So yeah, it's 4-0 and in no way controversial. But let's see if
put it back with the characters.
I couldn't even finish that sentence, to be honest. But okay, look, we got this.
Look, this is the round I was looking forward to most. You go into it. Go on. You. I was open up.
Okay, so round one.
Round three.
Round one.
Jeez, you're.
I'm
frazzled.
broken.
Yeah.
I'm broken. Round three.
Wait, what you're about to say?
Characters.
So, Friday the 13th has characters.
Yeah,
We'll see about that.
Theoretically.
I was actually like, I was joking with a friend of mine. I was saying like how, you know, nudity, graphic demise. What else do you need for a character arc? You know.
Basically, yeah. Okay, so I kind of broke them into little kind of pairs.
Yeah.
So I had like Ned, Jack, and Marcy together.
Yeah. In that they didn't start chasing the Slooper on that getaway music.
Yeah, that was the exact same as that getaway music. I mean, that's exactly what I thought of as well. Grandpa and Homer. For people who didn't grow up in the 90s, I mean, I feel sorry for you if you're not if you don't have every single moment of the first 9 seasons of Simpsons off by heart, then we can only pity you. But yeah, Ned, Jack, and Marcy, walking props more than characters. I have.
Yeah, I mean, Ned and Jack had a little moment with the cop, which I thought was kind of funny.
He has one moment that's funny. That bit with the cop, but I did not like Ned. He's not funny in this film, and not only is he not funny in this film, his trope is not funny in almost every film. The wisecracking, not good with the ladies guy that they have to have in every single slasher horror film. He not only isn't great in this film, he created all of the other ones that annoy the hell out of me as well. So I really hate Ned.
Yeah.
Like, damn you, Ned. He died well, as in we don't see him die, but the reveal of him is done well. Yeah. But that was the best part of him in the film. That and the what was the joke he had with the cop? I can't remember what it was.
It was something.
I can't remember. It was genuinely funny. I did laugh at it, but otherwise really irritating. Jack and Marcy are basically just, I mean, just classic teenager horror couple. Have sex, die.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, it's just. They're there to set up.
They're like, if you're going for a history lesson with Randy from Scream, they're the first thing he talks about on the first day.
Exactly. I mean, like, they are the
101 in horror victim.
Archetypal, just
Slasher
the bad couple, the naughty couple that have the sex.
They weren't really naughty. They were just
what I mean is, by having sex, they are being naughty.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And the cop was right. They did smoke.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's scandalous. Really is.
Do you know what I kind of liked, actually, was Ralph. The town crazy.
Oh, sorry. I was like, Ralph? What kid was that? I don't remember Ralph.
Ralph Wiggum? He was kind of... I liked him. He had something about him.
But again, he's that trope. He's the crazy guy. You shouldn't go to that town because they'll be killing you.
You're all doomed.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen a bit more of him, actually. He had something to him.
He did feel like a bit of a red herring, and they were setting him up as to potentially be the killer, which was smart, but then they get rid of him really quickly.
Yeah.
And I thought they did the same with Steve. Like, I thought Steve was going to be the killer, but then they cut to him in the town, and like, oh, well, he clearly isn't, because he's been there the whole day. You're just kind of like, oh, what a wasted...
Yeah, but like, he's there, and then he goes, and I see him in the diner or whatever, and then like, he comes back, and then he's instantly killed. Okay, he drives with the cop for a little while, he drops him off. But by the time he gets back to the camp, he's instantly killed. And it's like, really, all that? And he's just gone.
Yeah, it's really strange choices.
You
know. Because he should have come back, and you're like not sure whether he's the killer or not. Which, like, exactly what Scream did really well. Where they set it up and you don't know who the killer is. This is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
He just like, oh, you're like, okay, because Steve has a Jeep. You're like, oh, wait, the Jeep killed Annie. And it's like, oh, no, wait, he's in town the whole time. okay, it definitely wasn't him. Like, what a waste.
We kind of already said I kind of like Danny, even though she went first to go.
She's likable. They drop her off outside the cemetery. It's like subtle.
Yeah.
She
was doomed.
Yeah.
From then on.
Yeah,
she kind of seemed likable.
She seemed likable.
Mm.
She was a good actress and the kind of character you would root for in a film, and then she's gone. And you know what? I would say the only good thing about a fan when you make a movie with no relatable characters or characters that have any real depth in any way, is that anybody can go at any time. Like you don't know who's gonna go because literally anybody could go. That's the only upside to not developing your characters is that anybody. It's like Game of Thrones, except the opposite. Game of Thrones obviously developed some characters greatly, but it had that, you can go at any time. This has that as well, but the downside of not really caring when they go.
What's with Brenda?
But see, I had Bill and Brenda. They felt like real people.
Yeah, I liked Bill. And I liked that Brenda's killed the situation, but Bill and Alice at least did the wise thing. They tried to get to the phone. Okay, it was gone. Then they tried to use the vehicle. It wouldn't work. So then it was like, okay, they couldn't walk in that storm. So at least they were trying to be logical in the choices they were making.
It's not that they're stupid characters. It's just that we don't really learn a lot about them. Like we learned a little bit about Alice, that she came from California. Yeah. She wanted to go home, and Steve wanted to stay. And her and Steve had some kind of relationship or something going on. And then
that's what was that he went and then they never
developed again. Like, she never meets Steve again. She finds him in the car.
Was it him in the car? Probably was. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Like it's just it's a badly written film. Like it really is.
Yeah. Like I remember like having a show. I was like, I'm really struggling to get notes on like. I don't even one character.
I've got like one line, two lines. Yeah, and like the first line for Alice is "Final girl."
Do you know what's strange? She kept running away whenever she had the advantage on Mrs. Voorhees.
Oh my god, that's
why
so
do you keep running away? Like you have her, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like once you discovered who she is,
and she tries to kill you twice.
Mrs. Voorhees is as strong as a wet puppy. Like she literally blow at her and she's getting knocked out. It's unbelievable.
One boom, gone.
Yeah, like it's like
I don't think Alice realized her own strength.
You know, it's like, oh, Mrs. Voorhees, let me help you off that step. Knocked out. You know.
What you?
It's so irritating because I mean, you create the thing. Okay, the killer is really powerful and swift and blah 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 blah, and then as soon as we find out who she is the weakest human being that's ever stepped foot in that camp. You know, it's like speaking of her, yeah. So,
okay, she was creepy.
She is genuinely creepy, and it is an excellent twist. Like, it's a genuinely excellent twist. I did not see that coming. And the actor who played her sold it very well. There was real subtlety there with the reveal. And you also feel her pain and anger. Like, her son drowned because counselors were off having sex somewhere while her son is drowning. I mean, that's a horrific backstory. And like, if it wasn't for the murdering of innocent people, you'd actually feel sorry for her. But she kind of just, just went a bit insane a tad. And as we covered, just bizarrely fragile. Afterwards,
and I feel as I said earlier, she comes and they have to reveal like it was done really well, and kind of she's like so young, so pretty. It's all very creepy, but then it just goes on too long.
Yeah, it's way too long.
It goes on way too long. Because the stuff with them in the cabin is great and the pantry, but then
and then when she throws Brenda through the window, like that's all really creepy. But it's like
all just chasing around.
It should have been cut. 10 minutes should have been cut off that. Definitely. And there should have been more development of her. Maybe she's helping Steve get the camp together or something.
Yeah.
Although maybe that might not. Just the fact that we don't even really know who she is, and suddenly she's the killer. Like I think that works better for us having seen the sequels and seen, or at least been aware of the franchise, and that Jason is this killer. We know Jason's backstory, and we know who Jason is. So then we know what it means when it's like, oh wait, it was his mother, blah, blah, blah. But like when you're going in watching this for the first time, it's like, okay, right, so this woman we heard like 2 lines about is the killer. Because like Jason he isn't a big part of this movie. Like going in, they're not talking about Jason, about the kid who drowned all the time.
No.
They're talking about
It's mentioned in passing.
Yeah,
maybe
but
2 or 3 times.
as well as the other bad things that happen.
Yeah.
It's no
Wasn't
more
there
important.
a fire or something.
Yeah, the incident is no more important than any of the other bad incidents that happened at the camp. So like we're not going in expecting Jason to be the killer, like when it first came out, the people wouldn't have been. So we don't really know who she is. Like it's written very badly.
I think that's the characters.
Yeah, Never on the Street.
Yeah. Do you want to start with?
Okay, Rod.
You start with Rodney.
Okay, so he starts off and he's quite I'll be honest, he's kind of an uneven character. He starts off in the really cliche and kind of bizarrely like a cliche greaser. Like he feels like a 1950s greaser.
The kind of the bravado kind of.
Yeah, he would have been friends with Biff Tannen or something. And then like I was surprised that they didn't go for the kind of the classic 80s bad teenager metaler punk guy.
His hair was fine for someone in the 80s.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he has a greaser kind of quality to him with the leather jacket and everything. But he's very over the top. But there are moments of subtlety to him which I liked. Like when he says about the dream, like girls don't have what is it he say? It's like girls aren't the only one that have nightmares. Essentially, is what he's saying. And it also
something on the mark, corner on the mark or something.
Having cornered the market at nightmares. And then when he's talking to her, Nancy, in the prison cell, like he's more real. Yeah, you really feel.
I thought he acted that scene really well. I thought like it was. I felt a lot of empathy for him.
Yeah,
it's like he's done nothing wrong at all.
Yeah, but he's acted like a bit of a gambine. Like
he had, but like I mean, look, and the one the bit where he. I don't think he was going to do anything, but he overreacted with the knife.
Yeah, with the knife.
Yeah, I don't think he was really going to.
Yeah, I know, but
I think they established they are friends, like
Yeah, the character is just very.
He's bravado.
But, but he doesn't feel like a real person.
But for me, I felt I thought there was a lot of empathy for him when he's in the prison and he's kind of breaking down, saying that he could have saved her maybe if he moved sooner. But he thought it was another nightmare.
That's what I'm saying. Like I agree. Like that was done very well, acted very well, written well, and it worked. And like I'm not saying that he couldn't be loud, but like he seems so loud, like ridiculously loud. And there's no way that how loud he was there. I don't think it's realistic that he would be that. He'd also have that depth to him as well.
Well, his girlfriend has been killed.
No, I don't understand. But I'm saying is he's written. I feel like he doesn't even seem like the same character to me. It seems like 2 different characters.
Well, I think I don't know. I disagree with that because I think because of what he's gone through, like his girlfriend's died and he's been accused of murder and he's in prison. So I think it would change you like that kind of stuff.
I'm not saying
because he's a teenager.
I'm not saying he wouldn't change. I'm saying is that. He doesn't seem like a real person when at the start of the movie. He seems just like a stereotypical trope. Like he doesn't seem like a human being. Like he belonged in Friday the 13th when he starts off in this movie, and then he starts being written well afterwards. That's the way I felt.
The other thing that I found as well is they like you can see like Nancy's father's Parker the sheriff from Scream saying like the boyfriend was there. He's like, rock or musician, drugs. They're instantly kind of stereotyping him like, oh, he must have done it. Now, I don't want to way it's like he was in the room, so it's like, how could
obviously, logic would tell you.
But at the same time, there's still this kind of lumping in, like, oh, sure, it has to be him. Like, he's, a musician taking drugs. Yeah. So it's kind of, there's that as well. So it's like,
he's
up against it from the get-go.
I liked all that. The earlier version just felt.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I was just going to the kind of the other parts. Yeah. Like, and I think, Wes Craven made a note of it. He said that like about the character that like he kind of maybe was a guy that didn't get a lot of the breaks in life that other people kind of got,
Yeah, like I feel like if like Bender in Breakfast Club, like I feel like Bender is that type of character but fleshed out way more.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying that you can't go in. It's not a way different film, and like the Breakfast Club is basically an entire film just in one room. But there are elements of it that they could have brought in that would have just like he can still be that angry, brash, bravado character, but I totally buy Bender's reveal and kind of softer side afterwards, and I didn't with Rod.
But then I just one other thing on him that like, you know, he knows, like he says to Angela, like, look, I don't expect you to believe me, like, so he knows no one should believe him, but he knows what's happened to Tina, but he dies with people believing he killed Tina and then just hung himself. Like,
it is very tragic, it is, and it's powerful. It's done very well, and you do feel for him, definitely. I did come around on him as it went on. Tina,
so I just had like no help from her mother anyway. You know, she goes off to Vegas, which is again is a theme throughout the film about parents just not being there for their children.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think she has like the most vivid nightmares early on. So I think she that's why she initially is the one that's reacting so strongly to it all. Like, Nancy initially isn't reacting as strongly to it, but I think maybe for Tina, she's having very vivid, very intense emotions and experiences in these dreams. I think that's why she's the first to really kind of react.
You can
to
see
it.
the impact they're having on her. Like, that's why she has Nancy and Glenn stay over. To be honest though, like, I felt like her character doesn't have a whole lot going on, but she does a lot in the movie. Like, she's really creepy, and like she drives Nancy on really well throughout the entire film. Like, when she's reappearing and Nancy's imagining her words even later on when she's going to battle Freddy. So like, even though her character isn't very well developed, she's a very important part of the film, but it's very much just to serve Nancy.
More to kick on her path.
Which is fine. That's totally okay. Like,
because
I don't mind that.
Because you're supposed to kind of assume that she's the main character. Because in the first 15 minutes, she's the one they focus on.
Yeah,
you think
you're quite right. Actually, they do kind of shift then.
Yeah, which I think I like when films do that. You're like, oh, yes, we're going to the other one now.
Which Friday the 13th did as well. To be fair with Annie.
Yeah, they did with Annie. Yeah.
But so I thought her death scene was amazing, and her scenes are really quite eerie, and the dream sequence was really good as well. But as a character, there wasn't a whole lot going on.
Yeah, just because she's gone after 15 minutes, so it was I agree.
She's there to
she works well in it. Yeah. So first thing I want, Glenn, is that dude cannot stay away.
Oh my god! You had one job, Glenn.
Yeah,
you had one job.
The one big thing I've always thought about Glenn is, in the early parts of the film, is he actually having nightmares? Because he's always like quick to kind of say like, "Oh, that's impossible," or either just that he's scared and he's like, "I don't want to think that," or is it just like he genuinely thinks, "What are you talking about? Like, it's a nightmare."
No, I think it's clear when Tina says the green and red jumper started, and we cut to him a close up as he looks up sharply.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, he's having the nightmare as well. Because I mean, Rod was having it, Glenn was having, or Rod was having Tina and Nancy.
Yeah.
And there's no way he was left out.
Yeah.
And like, as we saw, Freddy does come for him. So no.
It's just that he always denies it. Or like, she's like, "Do you have any weird dreams?" He's like, "I slept like a rock."
I think that's quite. I think he's lying there.
Yeah. I always found it interesting and fascinating about him.
I see. You have to think about it as well is that maybe, I mean, even today, but also especially in the 1980s. This is his girlfriend he's talking to. He doesn't want to show weakness in front of her. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably insecure in his masculinity, maybe, and he's afraid of showing vulnerability, and and also I would say he's afraid he's insane.
Yeah. He's
afraid it's real, or he's afraid that what it means, and he doesn't want to confront it.
That's why I think, like, in some ways, she's like, "Do you believe in the boogeyman?" It's like, "No, Rod killed Tina." It's like he almost. I want it to be that Rod killed Tina. I don't want it to be.
That's
a
way more palatable answer
and safer for me as well. Yeah, that like if Tina died by this guy, and that I could die by it too. But then remember he does say. Do you remember when they're on the bridge and he's like, "Whenever I get nervous, I eat," and she's like, "Or if you can't do that, you sleep," and he's like, "I used to, not anymore." So like again, is that him kind of half?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not sure. Like. He's saying to her, "I slept on a log," but he didn't.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he keeps falling asleep as well. Like,
he's probably trying to stay awake.
Why does he appear at her bedroom at like whatever it was, like 11 o'clock at night or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Because he's awake as well. He doesn't want to sleep. or
Yeah,
he's
that's
afraid to sleep.
interesting. Yeah, just I've never actually kind of discussed that part. 'Cause I always wondered about that because he never kind of admits to it. It's never.
It's very
you know,
subtle.
Yeah, it is subtle.
Which
yeah.
is a tribute to it because like you don't
Yeah.
have to
No, it is
show
good.
everything
It is good
in your
because-
face like hey look
because-
pay attention to this
Yeah, yeah. No,
Glenn is vulnerable.
It is good because like Rod kind of does say it to Nancy. He says it like, look,
Yeah.
I thought it was this guy. He had these nicer fingers. Like he admits to it, and he says it to Tina as well. Remember, he says like, no more nightmares for either of us. So it's interesting that they all kind of react in different ways too.
Yes, yeah, they do. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I think this film benefits by only having 4 teams compared to
you
Friday
get
13.
it shows because you get to see more of them, or there's more to them. There's a lot, way more to them in this film.
Obviously, the main one is Nancy.
Yeah. Oh, we did this briefly on Donald and Marge.
Oh,
Just because we wanted to talk about the parents.
well, I
as
was
well.
going to talk about them in Nancy.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
So first of all, obviously, she's the virgin hero trope.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I always think of Scream, but like it's dead right. Like its analysis of these films, in particular, is spot on. But yeah,
and like she's extremely brave. Like, 'cause she not only is she going head on to face Freddy, but she's also like doesn't shy away from trying to get to the truth of what happened with her parents connected to this as well. Because she's always seeking out, why am I in this situation? I've got to deal with it now, but why am I in this situation?
Yeah, she's an incredibly strong character. I have to say, it's one of the strongest final girls I've seen in a film. Like very believable strength.
Mm-hmm.
She's not like what they call a Mary Sue, where she's not like overpowered ridiculously. She's a really interesting character, but like she is very very brave, and she's as we said earlier, she's the only one who's figured out what's going on in any way, shape, or form. Her parents are useless, and like in a lot of ways, I think it must have been on purpose. She is the mother to her mother. Her mother's a child. Her mother's the addicted, impetuous, moody.
And remember, she even says to Nancy at one point, she's like, "Look, there's something wrong with you. You're sick." And I was thinking, no, you're the one who's sick and has issues, because I think she doesn't want to face up to the facts of what she did.
Yeah.
So she's trying to shy away from that. Just like, stop talking about that. You're fine. You're just nightmares. Whereas, like, when she pulls the hat out. Yeah. And you see the cut in her arm. It's like you were there. She was just in another room.
It's like you understand to a certain extent, but then it's like just listen to the girl. And then her father as well is dismissive, like, "Oh yeah, I'll be over. Don't worry." Like, and then just like he just
you just get some sleep. That's what I've been telling you. Like,
yeah.
Things
and you can kind of understand. Again, you can understand. Like, look, I'm very much an unbeliever in any supernatural, and it would take a lot to convince me. But I'd have to say I'd be more worried than her father is in this movie.
But you remember as well, like when after Rod's funeral and she's at the car and she kind of describes, like, I don't know who he is, but he's got a red and green sweater and a dirty hat, and like they both give a look, like they're like, this sounds familiar, like so. And,
sounds familiar. They know exactly who that is.
And like, how the hell would she know? This is before she was born or whatever,
Although I do find it a little hard to believe that there would be a mass murder in her neighborhood and like, she wouldn't have heard of it. Like, this is a nice neighborhood. It's like, again, going back to Home Alone, but like when they're talking about the shovel slayer back in 58, he did nothing, and like that's a perfect example of how kids tell stories and make them up. If an actual mass murderer was killing children, like, no more than probably 10, 15 years ago in their neighborhood, there is no way she would not have heard of him. But it's one of those, look, I'll let it slide, for the sake of the story, and we'll keep it going, it's fine. We'll move on. But it did give me pause. I'm like, really? You've never heard of the mass murderer who was killing children in your neighborhood, like less than 2 decades ago? Definitely.
Really kind of like, when she tells the story, like, just how vile.
Yeah.
He's like,
just
we'll get on to him in a minute, but he's one of the most repulsive horror villains ever in any film. have to say, before he becomes a demon as well.
Yeah, but let's get to him in a second.
Yeah,
but we just finished Nancy.
Yeah.
So I like that scene where just before she goes to face Freddy, she puts her mother to sleep. And again, it's exactly what her mother should be doing to her. I mean, theoretically, is this putting her to bed safely and looking after her and making sure she's okay. And Nancy's doing it to her. Like, it's basically, it's almost like, just get out of my way and let me just solve this.
And she says to Nancy, actually, she says, like, doesn't she say, like, you face things at your gift.
Yes.
It's a strength.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to turn away from it as well.
Yeah, which is
what
subtle,
she's doing.
No, but it's also a subtle reference to the fact that she has to turn her back to Freddy.
Oh, yeah, it could be that as well.
Like Glenn had advised her.
But, yeah, that's a fair point. What came to me just when I saw it was that, like, but as soon as you have to turn away from it, and I was just thinking of, like, how marriage kind of is turning away from what she's doing. But it could work your way as well.
Yeah, I think both are valid.
I think, like, she's very, like, she's a great friend, like, she really looks out for her friends. Like, she does all she can for Rod and Glenn. Like, she's,
it's too late for Tina. She doesn't even know what's
going on. She doesn't know what's going on. But even, like, she does go over and stay with her because she's feeling scared and upset.
Yeah, no, she's a very loyal character and very strong. And then she's, the proto Kevin McAllister, as you said. Like, what a I forgot how actiony those scenes were, and kind of funny, like with that sledgehammer in particular.
And then he falls backwards
straight up
over the banister stairs.
That's straight up Home Alone. Yes, and quite clever. Like, when she's got the gunpowder in the light bulbs and stuff like that.
She's very clever cat, like,
Yeah. So I like Nancy. She's a very good character.
I just gotta say the line "warm milk gross." I love warm milk and Weetabix. I just gotta say that.
I think it's probably more hot milk than warm milk.
Yeah. That's true. One other thing, she had a poster of the police. I'm a massive police fan, so that was like extra bonus points for her that she had that in the wall. So,
okay. Next, we'll end it on that for Nancy. But moving on to Charred Face himself,
Frederick Charles Krueger.
So I touched on it earlier, but to me the thing that struck me the most about him was that he's a trickster, and he's enjoying torturing them and playing with them and teasing them.
Which he probably did when he was alive as well. He probably enjoyed it,
very much so. Yeah, I imagine. Because she says that he took them back to his boiler room. You don't even want, it's quite a vile kind of image that's created, and like keeping the trinkets as well, just very sick. And then when she's at that moment where she sees the crucifix of Tina and
Rod's knife,
and then you don't see Glenn's earphones, so you wonder, does that give her kind of hope? And then she finds Glenn's earphones full of blood, and she knows that he's without doubt that Freddy got him.
And even like at the start, like when we mentioned about heavy breathing, but it's almost like he's kind of purring when he's like putting on the glove, and it's like that sense of like he's like almost salivating at the thought of what he's going to do to them, and they're unsuspecting, victims that he's very soon going to be terrorizing and doing all this horrendous stuff to them.
And then another factor, which again, like we touched on earlier, that it's diluted by the fact that Freddy is such an iconic character, and that we've for all of our entire lives he's been one of the biggest characters in pop culture, is how creepy he looks. I mean, like, he does look vile. That burnt skin, and even like as Wes Craven was saying, the color of his jumper, like the green and red, like was picked purposefully because the eye has trouble with those two colors together. The kind of most awkward to kind of for your brain to take in, and so it's all about making you feel unease and askew, and he's really again, and the special effects on his scars are phenomenal.
Well, because what's interesting is that so originally Freddy wanted this very shadowy kind of figure, but because and to be honest, like
Freddy?
For Freddy, like he want.
Oh, you mean Wes Craven?
Sorry, Wes Craven. Sorry, wanted to show him in the shadows a lot, which they did do a lot of.
Yeah.
But when he saw how great the makeup looked.
Yeah.
He was like, he was trying to push for it to be shown more, and they were kind of reminding him like, "Wes, remember like the tone you want on the film?" They were like, "I know, this is the makeup people were saying this, like, you know, don't feel like you have to show, even though it's realistic looking, don't feel like you have to change the tone and format of the way you want to film." Just because he was so excited about how the makeup looked.
But but you know, and that makes sense, and I can see the why you would want to push it. But actually, by keeping him in the shadows and then revealing him, it actually is more powerful.
Yeah.
There's more weight to it, kind of like in Jaws with the shark.
Yeah, you know, exactly. Yeah, it is, because he's very much in the shadows, and it's unnerving, starting off. But just to reiterate, like that, he's vile. He's absolutely disgusting.
Like, even like the way he's like torturing her. Like, she's 15. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't realize how young they were. Supposed to be in it. But like, the tongue and the phone, and like when he slices open his chest, and you see these like green maggots coming out and pus, and slices off his fingers in front of Tina, and like kind of looks at him like, "Oh, you seen this?" You know, really, really unnerving character.
And I think in some ways, I wonder, like, was he happy what happened to him, because
Oh, it allowed him.
Because it allows him to do it now without
forever.
being tried or being, he can't be held accountable now, and he's got supernatural abilities, so like he can just go do it on a whole different level, So I wonder, like, in some ways, like, obviously he's
better off now.
Yeah. This is what he's happier with this now.
I like the fact that they kept, that fire was kind of dangerous to him, because like, even when she throws the with kerosene or whatever it is onto him,
match,
like you can hear him kind of crying out in fear before he's even lit.
Yeah,
like you can tell that he's traumatized by this, and it was because your monsters have to have weaknesses.
Yeah.
But that reminds me about weaknesses. When she brings him out into our world, he's relatively weak.
Yeah, he's not anything spectacular.
He's just a regular man.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. I never thought, because I always thought of him as this all-powerful being, because he can kind of do anything. But that's only in the dream world.
In the dream world, yeah.
In our world, he's just a man, a scared man, resilient. He takes that being set on fire pretty well, as he keeps going. But like, she's able to grab him, kind of overpower him at times. He's not particularly strong, or
no, he's not. No,
in any way super strong or super.
It's like a regular man, like who, if you got hit with a sledgehammer, you'd react the same way,
which you kind of have to have.
Yeah,
because he can't be Satan.
Yeah, if he's just like unlimitedly invincible, it's just like you need to have a chink in the armor.
Yeah, she has to have a way of defeating him. But yeah, no, I thought, and again, as I said, like, it's difficult to judge a character like Freddy without taking the weight of whatever the 96 sequels.
Yeah, but it does show there
the rap music.
It does show there in the original that, like, and like, I know you did allude to, like, and he does have kind of gesture moments, but he doesn't have a lot of lines, and he's not turned into the wisecracker kind of guy, He's
even though he does have a gesture kind of thing, well, he's in no way like the jokey guy from the sequels. He's enjoying it. Like in the first one, he is the only one laughing. In the sequels, we laugh as well.
Yeah. Certainly the latter ones. Like, I am a big fan of the third one. Although
third one is a solid movie. But some of the other ones,
fourth and fifth, it's a comedy basically, And like, he does have some funny lines, but it's not what Elm Street is supposed to be.
No. The Nightmare on Elm Street is without doubt the strongest of what I don't think I've seen every one of them, but of what I've seen, it's not even close. Just like this round was not even close. I'm ready to vote. It's Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the last one was the most comprehensive win. This one's even more comprehensive than the previous one. Yes, I'm also giving it to Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's 6-0. Friday, just get out. Off you pop, like.
It's fun. Like, I mean, I'd seen Friday the 13th before, and like, I liked it on a certain level. I enjoy it for what it is, but I remember watching it and I was like, "Jeez, like there's no chance." I knew, certainly with the second and third rounds, like there was not a chance.
Yeah, music was the only
one
area
would have
it
a
had a
hope.
chance.
Yeah,
And that genuinely, as you said, Friday the 13th has good music. Like I was about to say, Friday the 13th isn't. I was about to say Friday the 13th isn't a bad movie, but that would be a lie. It is a bad movie. Did I have fun watching it? I did a bit, yeah. Would I ever put it on again? No. I mean, like I did for the purpose of this. I had seen it before, I think once. I didn't enjoy it. I probably enjoyed it a little bit more when I was reviewing it, but I'll never watch it again. Nightmare on Elm Street, I will, even though I have no immediate rush because I've seen it 4 or 5 times. But I'll definitely be watching that before I watch Friday the 13th again.
Yeah, like I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street is like one of my favorite horrors. Like I mean, when it comes to slashers, I could probably be just behind Scream, so like I'm a massive fan.
Yeah, we're on different wavelengths when it comes to this movie. Like for you, it's one of your favorite horror films of all time. For me, it's a very good horror film, but there are plenty that I would have well above it.
And then with Friday the 13th, it doesn't compare, but like I enjoy it at a different level for what it is. It's just fun, like just.
Yeah, it's mindless.
Fun horror film, but it's nothing. It's not going to win any. It's not going to win many of these kind of.
It's not for me. I'm not generally. I'm not a fan of mindless movies unless they're like ridiculous, like The Room or something, where it's just like, okay, yeah, I'll strap in for that ride.
But horror is the only one I think that can carry it. To a tolerable.
Well, experience. Like the Room was an attempt at being dramatic.
But yeah, for the most part, for me anyway, like I mean, a bad comedy I'm not going to enjoy, but I'll enjoy a bad horror film,
Yeah. I mean, in particular, like special effects and stuff like that, you get away with a lot in horror, the horror genre, which is what we're hoping for when we release our short film on Halloween night. We hope we get away with our mistakes, and you're like, oh, it's okay. You're only amateur director.
Can let two guys do a podcast and rip our film to shreds.
Yes, please do. Tear away. But next week we have.
Well, it's a battle.
A very different battle.
Yeah, very very different battle again. It's so. The Witches from 1990, I believe.
1990. Roald Dahl's. I'm not sure if that's in the title, but it's the Roald Dahl. It's the Roald Dahl adaptation
versus the iconic. What's that? A cult favorite, Disney favorite, Hocus Pocus from 1993.
Yeah, so we're going for kind of a family horror episode next week. We've been trying to kind of shift it around the different parts of horror. We went for the OG zombies versus the new zombies. We went for the straight up Universal classic horror icons.
80s slashers.
80s slasher, and then going on to next week with the family friendly horror. And then we have 2 more after next week with the Witches versus Hocus Pocus. We have 2 more left. We'll have one on the Friday, and then we'll have another one on the Saturday on Halloween night.
Yeah, the bonus episode.
So
do you want to do a little plugging of where you can find us?
Plug away, I suppose. Yeah. You can find us on Twitter at Movie Battle Pod POD, and the hashtag the MVP on there as well. Hashtag MVP on Facebook, where we're the Movie Battle Podcast.
And you can email us at themoviebattlepodcast@gmail.com. And
on YouTube.
Oh, YouTube, of course. Yeah, YouTube, which is the Movie Battle Podcast, where you can there's a nice visual component there as well, with a bit of pixel art.
And we push the pixel art every week. We release new pixel art, custom pixel art for every episode we do. We release that every Friday along with the episodes on social media pages. So check them out. Drop us a comment, a like, a follow, whatever way you want to show your support. We very much appreciate it.
And we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll leave it there. So.
We'll leave it there. So.